What's going on, guys? Got the die M2 here today, and we're gonna replace the LPR seat. So if you look back in the manuals for the die DMs and the Proto PMs, they hardly ever give you any information on how to service your LPR. With the M2, they released a video. It's got Billy removing the LPR and lubricating the piston, but it doesn't actually show you how to replace the seat. Seeing as how they always remove this from their manual, I'm guessing it's because they don't want Joe Blow whoever getting in and screwing up their configuration, because it just makes more problems. So, disclaimer, don't do this unless you are competent in your abilities to perform this maintenance and have quality tools. So, you're going to start by removing this front screw. And by the way, don't lose this. Every single M2 that comes through here does not have this screw. I mean, the grips stay on just fine without it, but don't lose it. Screwing the grips off the front. So, this is the LPR cartridge. And that's the little screw that the front screw goes into. So we're going to undo this cartridge here. Enough. What's going on with the auto lock feature? Try and pull it as straight out as possible so you don't damage these street O-rings. Billy in his video, all he does is, so we're going to put this beautiful M2 off to this side. All that Billy does in the video that die produces is remove this piston and lube the piston. Die LPRs are notorious for having difficult O-rings to to remove, and we're not going to do that this time, because I serviced this and then went to replace the seat and found out I had no seats. So this has been freshly serviced, and what you're going to do to remove this plate here is there are 1, 2, 3 set screws that need to be removed, and this is a 0.05 Allen key. Do not use the ball end. And completely remove these set screws and set them off to the side so they don't get lost. Forgot to turn on my light. Let's take out the other 2. All these set screws do is hold on this black plate so you can remove the whole cartridge. They do not need to be tightened. But I think die does you a little bit of a disservice, is if these set screws sit for forever and you never take them out, stripping these is fairly easy. So we've just removed this plate, and this piece just falls out. And in die's defense, you don't really need to get in here very often. But if you're seeing LPR spikes, inconsistencies, you're going to want to check out your LPR seat. So this is your brass adjuster. It's the same adjuster that seems to be in all the other die markers up till now. And we're just going to unscrew. you start first. LPR seat is cracked in this little corner here. You can also go in from the top side and carefully push that piston out the back, being careful not to lose any of the shims on here. Look, there's shims that stayed in there, shims that stayed in there. So we're just going to lube that up, and I'm going to show you where the troublesome O-ring is after we replace the LPR seat. Oh, there's one. There's two in there, but that other one's stuck in there. So I'm going to set the piston off to the side. We're concerned about this guy, which they don't talk about replacing. So you can get these from Dye. They use the same puck in everything up until the M2 essentially for the LPR and HPR. Now that we've got our opening, take one of our brand new LPR seats direct from Dye, and we're gonna make sure it's seated all the way in there. Kind of try not to catch an edge. It's hard to do this. These seats are also reversible, so if it fails you on one side, you can just flip it over to the other if you can get it out in one piece. There we go. Seated nicely. First seat. So this is how piston regulators work. This is the sealing point right here. And the piston comes up and down. So we're just going to reassemble, but before I do that, the piston stem O-ring, which I already replaced and I do not want to do again, is located between this face here and that face way down in there. It's difficult to get out. It's difficult to replace. That's probably why Dye doesn't tell you how to do it. So if you're feeling like you can do it, go do it. If not, it's not worth you watching 15 minutes of me playing around with it just to get it out. So let's grab our lube. Re-grease our piston. Ooh, do this for camera. Re-grease our piston. And then you're going to want to grease the stem here, because that's going to lubricate that O-ring inside the body. Slide this in, make sure we don't lose any Belleville shims for our spring. We are going to lubricate this adjuster, this O-ring here. Yeah, if you want to replace all these O-rings, you should have matching color-coded O-rings in your parts kit from Dye. That should sit about flush. That'll put you about stock. We're going to reinsert our plate, our adjuster plate. It's just floating around in there. I don't know if you can hear that. And we'll put our set screws back on. It's the wrong size, Ellen. There is nowhere for these set screws to go. They do not need to be tight at all. Do not make them tight. Like, I'm not even switching it to the other side of the Allen. Just using the ball end, which I always tell you guys not to do. Oh, that's the one that's got it already. Back this one out a little bit. So we can seat this one a little more. We don't want them sticking out past the threads at all. And it's a little bit of a balancing act to make sure that they do that. Still a little loose, so we're going to find the loose spot. That one made contact. That one made contact. That one's good. Okay. These are just the non-moving, these are static O-rings. I'm just going to seal the LPR off, and you're going to want to have a little bit of lube here too, because there's an O-ring in the body that gets lubed. Let's bring our LPR, you can see it back in there. Maybe. It's going to focus? Yeah. Maybe. No. That's in there. I'm going to slide our chamber back in there as straight as possible. I'm going to reinsert our does not need to be tight. Don't tighten it. Excuse me, don't over tighten it. We're going to wipe all the excess grease off the outside of the Hyper 6 regulator, just so it doesn't collect any more dust and dirt that it doesn't need to. We're going to slide up our grips. We're going to make sure these little tabs fit in the body on both sides. Boom, boom. And putting the screw back on. That was the wrong screw. This is also not the factory screw. This came to me and the screw was missing. I had one that fits nicely. This is the wrong Allen key. There we go, that's it. LPR service and LPR seat replacement on the Dye M2. If this was helpful at all, please feel free to like this video, subscribe, and hang out for other cool paintball content. Thanks guys, I will see you in the next one, and have a good time playing.